Hey everyone, happy holidays. It's HBCU game day. Football season has ended on the field, but the news is just beginning. We end the 2025 season with 8 head coaching vacancies available in HBCU football. We don't have any vacancies here because the whole team is here. Check her out. She's back after a little, she had the SpongeBob well, you were sick last week? The suds. She had the suds last week, but she's back. Wilton was just like literally right here a few days ago, but now he's back in Jackson, Mississippi. Not only is Wilton not wearing a tie,
he got the hoodie.
He got a hoodie on. Wilton, you're in the spirit, man.
He laid back today.
I mean, I had to switch it up today a little bit, just a little bit.
He says the off season.
He is there. Well, it was good seeing you in person, Wilton. Let's jump right into it, man. 8 jobs open. I think the most surprising one, and we'll get that for you on the screen, might be the Clark Atlanta job. That is the one. There are a couple up there I did not have on my bingo card. We'll go one by one, but I did not see Teddy Keaton out after 2 years at Clark Atlanta.
Absolutely not. Especially with the resume that Coach Keaton came to Clark Atlanta with, everything he built at Allen, everything he was able to overcome there, comes to Clark Atlanta. It's a huge move. He has instant success, goes to the SIAC championship game in his first season as the head coach of Clark Atlanta.
Beats a SWAC team
in Bethune-Cookman along the way. Just ran up on a juggernaut of a Miles team. Like, that was Miles' season that year. But it wasn't even just what he did on the football field at Clark Atlanta. It was like a culture shift around the program. The swag was there. The media attention was there. And it was all well-deserved because of what Coach Keaton was doing on the football field. A lot of eyeballs were around Clark Atlanta, Coach Keaton specifically with the podcast, not only his own podcast, but he on the 85 South show. It was a lot. So
and Clark Atlanta was coming off some bad
years. So this is shocking, y'all. When my jaw on the flow, jaw is still on the flow, not the F-L-O-O-R, Tolly, the flow, F-L-O-W. I don't know what the heck going on, Wilton. Maybe you got something.
No, like Tolly, me and Simone were calling a basketball game when this news initially broke, and we both looked at each other like, this cannot be real. We weren't expecting to hear Teddy Keaton not be the head coach at Clark Atlanta, again, going into 2026. I mean, to Simone's point, she just reiterated, when he had that first successful year, Clark Atlanta last year, you only thought that he was going to continue to build on that this year in 2025. Obviously, had a lot of hiccups, had some injuries. The season didn't go well, but you knew at least at some point you thought, well, he would probably get another chance to rebuild on what he wasn't able to do in 2025 and kind of get things right and right the ship in 2026. But obviously, Clark Atlanta had other plans, and now they'll be looking for their next head coach.
Look, I reached out to somebody close to the situation. I said, what is going on? This just sounds weird. And here's what I was told. I was told, I can't tell you everything, but I will tell you that Teddy Keaton will address his side of the story. It did come as a shock to him, and he is supposed to give more details in the future, is what I was told. I did not talk to Coach Keaton himself, but somebody close to him. So I do hope to hear his side of the story. Because there has to be something there. You just cannot get a guy, turn your program around, have a transitional year, and then you say that, well, that's no longer good enough when you were not winning any. I mean, going through winless seasons. So there's something there.
Yeah, and the biggest question was, when the news dropped, was, did he get another job offer?
That's what I was trying to figure out.
Yeah, did he leave? Yep. Did he resign? Was the contract up and they just didn't renew? Money maybe wasn't matching. A lot of people speculated that he had a job offer on the table, but now it's looking like Clark Atlanta decided to move on. So it's a lot of confusion.
I know there are rumors that he was interested in the job at Albany State. Now, if that comes to fruition, we don't really know, but I have definitely heard from multiple sources that he is interested in that job.
So I'm the only one with no sources. Just talking.
Well, it tracks. Look, I was here one day, and maybe I'm talking too much. I was here one day. Teddy Keaton was supposed to come in and do a show. He couldn't make it because another school had called, and they were interested in talking to him, so he had to go talk to them about a job. That job he didn't end up getting. But that did happen. I know that happened, so I know people were out there interested in reaching out and talking to him. So that's quite the turn of events, from being someone that's wanted by other programs to the place that you're at no longer wanting you, when they had been on the struggle plate before you got there.
I know one thing. I'm going to break my ankle trying to get to that video, hearing his side of the story. So when I come in here on crutches next week, it's because I broke my ankle trying to get to that video or that post or whatever he about to release.
All right. Well, we hope to see that.
Me on crutches?
No. Not you on crutches. not you on crutches. The video. All right, look, we got Bowie State opening. Okay. We got Savannah State. All right. We got FAMU. I think that's going to be filled very soon.
Yeah.
I think it's the worst-kept secret that Quinn Gray is going to be the next head coach at FAMU. It's not official, but I think it's headed that way. He's already resigned as head coach of Albany State. He's a fan favorite. I think he's a good fit for the job.
Oh, absolutely. Everything he did at FAMU, coming home to the program, had a lot of success at Albany State. Came into Albany State with a lot of pressure, taking over for such a winning coach there. Coach G handled the pressure, exceeded expectations at Albany State. Now it looks like Florida A&M is just waiting for them numbers to align, I guess.
Wilton, we always talk about Southern, and we'll get to Marshall Faulk in a second. I think FAMU is also one of those schools where you got to understand the culture. It's hard for an outsider to come in and fare well consistently over time. It helps when it's a rattler that comes in and takes over that job.
You're right, Tyler. Not only does it help if you're a rattler in this case, but also somebody who has a winning pedigree that's a rattler. Like Simone said, he had a lot of pressure coming into Albany State. But you talk about the incredible year that Albany State had, even getting to the Division II playoffs, almost winning it all. And so you hope that to see Quinn Gray kind of carry that mentality to FAMU, even playing FAMU really, really close this season. So I really think it's a great fit. He knows the area. He knows what fans want at FAMU. So I expect him to get the official nod and do really great things for the Rattlers program.
And that might have been the job interview when Albany State goes in there and almost beats FAMU in Tallahassee. That might at least have been the start of the interview process. Morehouse College, that job is open.
That's another shot.
Short tenure
I'm not shocked.
I was shocked. The season that they had, to come off a season like this, first 3-game winning streak in years, first winning record in years. You had all SIAC players coming out of Morehouse this season. It looked like the foundation was laid, and then that's when you build upon it. So I was shocked to see Morehouse with the change. Y'all got some sources to know something I don't?
I don't have any sources there, but Wilton, you said you weren't shocked.
I wasn't shocked only because of the nature of college football and where we're going. I mean, you just don't get that many years of having a really bad season and then you get 2 or 3 wins, and it's like you only hope to keep your job. You hope that's enough. But do I think that it was the right move for Morehouse to do? No. But am I surprised by it? No, because it's just like you see so many times. You can have a coach that's 7-4, 7-5, and had multiple seasons of 7-4, 7-5, 6-5, or 6-6, and still get the boot. So that's why I say, do I agree with the decision? I don't. But do I believe that? Am I surprised by it? Absolutely not.
See, I agree with you, Wilton. If it wasn't the expectations for some of those 7-5, 6-6. Coaches that get fired are championships. With the expectations with Morehouse at this point is building some credibility for this football program, not being a football program people pull up to Atlanta and feel like, oh, instant win. That's a bye week when we go to Atlanta. So I feel like the expectations are different there. And for Morehouse, I feel like, the coach was building a foundation and you coming off so much momentum, and then to just go back and start from scratch essentially seems wow.
So Go ahead, Tyler. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think my litmus test is if you don't have any stands on the visitor side, there are no championship expectations. You just got a football program. if you don't have stands on the visitor side, you just have a program. You don't have a championship pedigree.
Petty. You have a pedigree. You know that?
I ain't even saying that. I can't say nothing.
I'm saying like you have to be invested in your program. If you got
that's the point I was about to make, Simone. Is Morehouse truly invested in Morehouse football? I would argue to say they may be invested in other sports like basketball more so than football. That's just my observation.
I think Morehouse is a special situation, and I'm not trying to pick on Morehouse. Here's the special situation. It is an academic school.
Absolutely.
I mean, all schools are academic schools, but their emphasis is always going to be on academics. It's not going to be on athletics like you see at other programs. It is academics first, second, third, fourth, athletics maybe fifth. And it just is what it is. And there's no shame in that, but you just have to be truthful about who you are.
And the coach that comes in has to also know that as well, like knowing that my students' grades, what they're going to do after playing football has to be just as important as them running the right route on the football field.
Mm-hmm. And the millions of dollars that will come into the university are going to funnel through academic programs. And again, that is nothing to be ashamed of. But some schools are going to pour money into athletics, others not so much. Look, I loved it when Coach Freeman was there because Coach Freeman knew what the deal was. Like, he knew that players were going to have to drive themselves to practice. That year they were playing at Lakeside is it Lakeside or Lakewood? Lakewood. Where they're playing at Lakeside as a 7-inch R&B group. He knew what it was. Like, he knew the limitations, and he was okay with that, and he understood it. So when you come in and you accept a job at some schools, you have to understand what the situation is and what the culture of athletics has been traditionally. And that's the deal. All right, another place that is high on academics, but football is, had some moments. Howard University, they made it to the Celebration Bowl a couple of years ago, but Larry Scott is moving on. He's going to get paid more to do less, is the way it works. He's going to Auburn as a position coach. You see his record there while he was at Howard. So, basically, hovering around a 500 program. But when he came in, I mean, the Howard football program was in, I don't want to say disarray, but they had a toxic coach that they had to get rid of. Larry Scott came in, stabilized that program, stabilized the culture, kept them competitive, had a share of a MEAC championship, an outright MEAC championship, was winning in that Celebration Bowl, and for a while it looked like until the FAMU comeback that they might bring home an HBCU national championship. So at a school, that's a high academic school like Howard, to be successful in football, I think Larry Scott did a pretty good job.
Yeah, now he's going to be coaching with his son. So his son is going to be a position coach at Auburn. He's going to be the tight ends coach. So that's a cool story right there.
And Wilton, this is what we have seen a lot, Wilton. Coaching at the HBCU level, position coach at the FBS level.
Well, he was a position coach.
And he's done that before.
Yeah.
But this career path of connecting the dots, and we've seen Willie Simmons. We've seen the former coach at North Carolina Central just got the extension there at Kennesaw State, got him some more money. Like, it's working for some guys.
Yeah.
And like I said, and if it's working, I wouldn't stop it. And I think, it was Jerry Mack at Kennesaw State. But I think that if you're Larry Scott, essentially you did as best as you could for this Howard program. I think obviously the best year was the year of them getting to the Celebration Bowl. And to your point, Tyler, they were a couple, plays, possessions, quarters away from potentially taking the Celebration Bowl if it wasn't for a FAMU comeback. But this was a Larry Scott, when I talked to him at MEAC Media Day, and he was talking about this year was going to be a rebuild year from a subpar year last year in 2024. But obviously Howard couldn't right the ship how they wanted to. So now he's off to Auburn to take that position coach role. And like I said, with Willie Simmons having done it at Duke and now, excelling well as a head coach on the D1 level, I just think that Larry Scott could be the next one to do that.
All right, new head coaches. You can take Southern off the board. Marshall Faulk has taken that job, and he comes over from Colorado, where he coached a year with Deion Sanders. And I think Coach Prime gave him some advice on the contract negotiations because, as you see here, 3 years, $1.2 million. Okay, one of the highest paid HBCU coaches out there. $400,000 annually, plus significant incentives, which include 20% of raised funds.
Ooh, get that bag.
That Coach Prime said, put that in right there. Now, I don't know that for a fact, but I'm just saying.
He looks so happy in that picture. You know he got a bag.
But look, I'm not mad at it. Wilton, the man has a name. Look, you see the money there, almost $1 million for his assistants. People are going to bring money into Southern University that otherwise would not have done so because they are connected emotionally or however to Marshall Faulk in some way. He just gets a little commission. If you weren't going to get it anyway.
Right.
No, if you're Marshall Faulk, you really can't be mad about this salary at all. $400,000 a year, and more so the point that you all both were just mentioning, those incentives. Like, you have to build those in because sometimes, if not, you're basically leaving money on the table. But more than anything, I also like the fact of some of the coaches that Marshall Faulk has brought in terms of his coaching staff. You're talking about a Todd Light, who's going to be his defensive coordinator, who he played with in the NFL. You're talking about Curtis Johnson, who's going to be his offensive coordinator. So you're talking about people that, and I should mention this, Curtis Johnson, offensive coordinator, has New Orleans roots. So you're talking about people that understand the area, which, again, we've talked about with first-year coaches that don't necessarily have, like, real head coach experience. Who are you going to have on your staff that can really, like, be a catalyst to you being successful as well as your team? So I think that him gathering these two so far, amongst others that will come with some experience and also having some continuity and having played with some of them, I think it bodes well for Coach Faulk and what he's going to be able to do at Southern.
Well, if Southern University makes it to the Celebration Bowl, it will be a highly attended game. That's just my guess because those Southern fans will show up. Now, this year's Celebration Bowl, we didn't give them a hard time. The facts are the facts. We talked about the attendance. It was the second lowest attended Celebration Bowl in the 10-year history. But the TV viewership, that was a different story. So let's give flowers where flowers are due, and the flowers go to you, fans. You watched that game. 2.3 million viewers watched the Celebration Bowl on ABC. That's a 12% year-over-year increase. And the viewership peaked during the overtime period. It got up to 3 million viewers. So, look, it was a great game. I think everybody we've talked to has kind of got it as top three at the very least. Most people are, if it was not their favorite game, it falls behind the Central Jackson State game that had that dramatic, also an overtime game, and that dramatic catch by Travis Hunter there from Shedeur Sanders as the fourth quarter ended. So the viewership was there, and look, it's a TV product. Yeah. It's great if you fill up the stands, but if nobody's watching, that's when you need to worry.
The main thing is those TV ratings, like you said. So as long as they showed up, everybody can't go to the game. Everybody can't pull up to every game, but you can tap into your streaming app. You can tap into the TV. And like you said, that's what matters. That's what's bringing in the big dollars, is making sure that they can re-up those TV contracts.
For sure. Wilton, you and I talked ad nauseum about attendance. Were you surprised at the viewership numbers, or were you thinking that they would have been high?
I wasn't surprised by the viewership numbers. I didn't necessarily know what the attendance was going to be like physically inside the stadium, but viewership numbers, I'm not surprised at all. Like, people tune in to watch the Celebration Bowl, number one, because it's an actual bowl with HBCU schools. That's number one. Number two, typically it's usually a pretty good game between two teams competing down to the very last minute. And again, this year, 4 overtimes. Nobody in the history of the Celebration Bowl, or even probably college football, would have thought that this game was going to go to 4 overtimes, especially if you watch the first half with Prairie View being up 21-0. I mean, most people, honestly, I would even argue say what the viewership would have been like after the first half, because I'm pretty sure a lot more people probably started to tune in even more in the second half, and obviously for sure during overtime.
Yeah, and I think that speaks to the power of social media, where some people might have tuned out at halftime, started doing something else, and then they're checking their phone. They're like, oh, snap, South Carolina State is back in it. Let me go back to the game. So that really helps out a lot here in our current time. All right, almost out of time, but we got to talk about the biggest story. We saved the biggest for last. Andrew Body is hitting the transfer portal. The SWAC Offensive Player of the Year is not returning. I mean, he can return, but he said, you know what? You know how they say it, Simone. First, I like to thank God. Right. I like to thank the coaches. With all that being said, I'm now entering the transfer portal.
Once you see that black graphic with all that small text on the screen, you already know your player gone. Don't even got to read it.
They ain't saying all that to say they coming back.
Right.
So, the one good thing for Alabama State fans, Wilton, you look on the screen, Tayshaun Smoot did not have Andrew Body numbers, but he didn't have bad numbers. In 10 games, you see what he was able to do. The completion percentage, roughly the same. He threw for half the amount of touchdowns, not quite as many yards, but one interception for both players. So Smoot protected the ball. He was accurate with it, and he knew how to find the end zone. Look, nobody would say, I'm glad Andrew Body is gone. But if he is leaving, Tayshaun Smoot proved that he's a team player, and he's a guy that you can ride with.
Tyler, I think this is a situation of, obviously, with a player like Andrew Body, you knew he was a great quarterback. No questions asked. We knew what he was able to do from his days at Texas Southern and obviously at Alabama State. But when you look at it, this is a situation of Andrew Body being a great quarterback, and then obviously Tayshaun Smoot being probably essentially could be another great quarterback. He just didn't get the opportunity because you had an Andrew Body in front of him. If Andrew Body is in fact gone, if he doesn't come out of the transfer portal and come back to Alabama State, Tayshaun Smoot has shown us that he can get the job done. But I think the level of success that he had this year was also stimulated from the Hornets being able to run the ball. So that actually helped him well as a redshirt freshman quarterback. But then let's also not forget that he came from Jacksonville State, a program that's accustomed to winning, a program that was used to having quarterbacks that could throw the ball around. He just wasn't getting the playing time at Jacksonville State. But now, having had some of these games of experience due to Andrew Body's injury, I think that if you're Alabama State and you have to go with a quarterback next year coming into the 2026 season, Tayshaun Smoot has pretty much shown you that he can get the job done if given the opportunity to.
So Smoot showed that he is the guy that can get out there, win ball games, take care of the football. Simone, if Andrew Body stays in the portal, what level of program do you think he can land at, or is it just a who has the bag type scenario?
It might be, I don't want to be in this man's pockets. It might be a who has the bag type scenario. I believe a source said that, Alabama State, offer him something. Maybe the numbers weren't matching. So this might be a scenario where he's seeing, eligibility's running out. How much, where can I get a bag from? Or it could be a scenario where he's looking for a bigger stage. At this point, I don't think we know. I feel like it would still be, I don't know the term, there's so many new terms. I don't see Power 5, but whatever's in between Power 5 and
that's when we go down to Group of 5.
G5. Yeah. G5. I see G5.
Wilton, what type of program do you think he could land? Like, what do you think the ceiling is for an Andrew Body in the portal?
Honestly, Tyler, if he wants to play right away or have a legitimate chance to play right away, I think G5. If he went to a Power 4 conference, I'm not necessarily sure that he would get the playing time that he wants. And the competitor that we know that Andrew Body to be is, and especially a person who, has dreams of potentially playing at the next level, I think it should be more about the playing time. And I think obviously you're only going to get playing time if you're on the field, if you're getting those real reps. So I think that if he's considering a G5 program, I think that works out for him, or at least it could work out for him, versus potentially trying to go to a Power 4 team that could promise him, in Simone's words, promise him a bag, but he really may not get that bag for real.
Well, we are definitely going to miss him, watching him in the SWAC week in and week out if he does indeed stay in the transfer portal. But as a caveat, as a disclaimer, he can always come out and come back to Montgomery if he so chooses, or if somebody drops a bag. That's just how it goes. All right, we have been kind of pressed today. We've been moving fast because Simone is so busy. I saw you hosting with LaShawn McCoy. You're just always doing something. What's the next big thing for you, Simone, where we can catch you outside of game day?
Child, just stay tapped into social media. And we'll see.
You're so busy you can't open your press. You can't open your packages. People are sending you gifts.
I don't even know what I got going on.
You can't even open up your stuff.
It just be too much, child.
Wilton, have you ever had that problem? People send you stuff and you just don't have time to open it?
Nah, I don't have those problems. Those are my own problems.
Me either. You send me something, it's not making it in the house.
Right.
I had an Amazon package today. I opened that thing up in the garage. It don't even make it inside.
Oh, we.
Got to get it for them porch pirates, baby.
Oh, we.
All right. For Wilton Jackson and Simone Stanley, I'm Tolly Carr. We'll talk to you soon. If we don't before Christmas, have a happy holiday. Thank you for hanging out with us here at HBCU Game Day.